What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Bandit, and today I'm doing something that is completely different from the normal type of video that I do. Today I'm going to talk about the 1v1 ladder tournament that Dream Eater Gengar from Smogon is hosting, that I've been a part of for this last month or two, and I just want to recap what's happened so far, what happened with the qualifying rounds, what's been going on with some of the matchups, and I'm going to talk about the team I used to qualify. I'm going to go over a couple of the matches that I've played and some highlight matches that others have played. I'm just going to get everyone caught up, and hopefully I will be able to post my upcoming battles in the near future with some commentary as well. So without any further ado, let's get into it and let's talk about this tournament. So the qualifier rounds of this tournament were split up into 4 cycles. Cycle 1, we had the 4 qualifiers were Dom, Ecstatic Cold, Regiwi, and Uberland in 21. Dom used Snorlax, he used Sleep, Yawn Protect on both Snorlax and Ursaring. He said that Ursaring didn't really put in all that much work and that it was essentially useless, but that Snorlax was so broken OP that it needed to be banned. And it was, actually. It was banned after Cycle 4 qualifiers ended. So Snorlax definitely put in some work for Dom here for round 1, and he was able to hit 1793 ELO, which is pretty goddamn crazy. Ecstatic Cold, he sits at the top of the ladder all day anyway, so it's no surprise that he was able to make it up to mid-1700s and grab that number 2 spot. RYYJYY Regiwi, I'm just going to call you Regiwi. Really high elo, pretty decent GXE. He's a stall lord, so it's not too surprising that he used Whimsicott. But yeah, otherwise really solid team. Finny and Crustle are both very, very strong, and they beat a lot of meta threats like Dragonite and Charizard. And then lastly, the 4th qualifier for round 1 was Uberland in 21. Now this guy is he's really, really goddamn good at this game. Uberland in 21, he's not only one of the most solid team builders that I've seen, he's also one of the most consistent battlers. He's always at the top of the ladder, or at least near the top of the ladder. When he's laddering, he's laddering with a purpose. He's not just messing around. He's there to win, and I really respect that about him. Chicken Pie 2 ended up not making it into Cycle 1. However, Cycle 2 qualifier, Chicken Pie did end up making it the number 4 spot. So Ayedan basically blew the ladder away. He made it all the way up to 1849, which is ridiculous. The ladder only goes up to around 1800s. Like, if you check it right now, the top scorer will be like 18-0 something or 1820. Blew the ladder away. He used Vivian a bunch, so another sleep strat with the whole sleep powder. It's basically a speed trap where if you're faster, you can put him to sleep, sub up, boost your stats, and then Z move. And I believe he also used some ladder sniping techniques where he looked at the ladder, watched what people were using, and brought teams to counter it, which I suppose is a viable ladder strategy and can get you some ridiculously high elo. BaleBlaze is one of the absolute best and longest playing members of 1v1. He's room staff. He's super nice guy. I've worked with him personally on a couple of different teams. He's friendly. He's helpful. He's a great dude. No surprise to me that he made it this high because he's very, very good at battling to back up his niceness. Lancer FR made it into the mid-1700s as well. This dude is insane. He's currently undefeated in this tournament, for reference. He's 3-0'd both of his opponents. I've been fighting this dude on the ladder since Gen 6 days, and yeah, he's a phenomenal player, and he definitely deserves to be in this tour. Lastly, yeah, Chicken Pie 2. I actually haven't seen Chicken Pie 2 play too much, but they do seem to win pretty consistently. They were a huge contender for round 1, and I'm glad that they made it into Cycle 2 qualifiers. Alright, Cycle 3, Chaitanya and Ferno are 2 monotype players that came into 1v1 and were like, hey, fuck your ladder. We're gonna qualify for this tournament, and 3-0 X Cold. Freddy Kyogre, he's a great dude, not only active on Pokemon Showdown, but Discord as well. Super nice and very, very helpful with team building. Great guy. Scraftionite he's amazing. Like, he's an underdog for sure, but if you give him a good team, Like he'll get you wins with it. He's not the best team builder himself unless that team has Scrafty on it, in which case he's the best team builder. But if you give him a team, you know, he's one of the best battlers I've ever seen. And that brings us to Cycle 4. So, number 1 place, GGOPW, aka the resident god of 1v1. He's been here since probably longer than I have. He took the number 1 spot because he's freaking good, dude. He's just solid team builder, solid battler, solid person. Toad and his hacks. This guy, I haven't seen him play as much recently, but I used to play with him in Gen 6, where he used quite a bit of Togekiss, hence the hacks in his name, so we'll see if he brings that this tournament or not. And then Grain 2 Cell. Grain 2 Cell, I always end up losing to on ladder. I don't know what it is. They've just got the whole best of 3 or best of 5 thing figured out, where they see you play for a game or two, and then they figure you out, and they know exactly what you're going to pull for the 3rd or 4th game. Very impressive battler. They definitely deserve to make it into this tour. And then last but not least, me, Elo Bandit. Made it in with bare minimum of 1699 total Elo. I kind of played it pretty conservatively with my laddering. I played just enough to get into the number 4 spot and keep the number 4 spot. I didn't play any excessive matches, so I didn't jump into the 1700s because I didn't need to take that risk. I didn't need to risk falling further down, given that I was qualified in the high 1600s. So that's basically how I played it there. I played it safe, and no one ended up passing me before the deadline, so there we go, qualified. This is the team that I used during the qualification rounds. I am going to link this team in the description, but full disclosure, I don't think it's as good as it was during the laddering session, or during the cycle, because this team was primarily intended to counter Snorlax, and Snorlax has since been banned. So the Life Orb Pheramosa has 184 attack with the low kick, Life Orb. That 100% of the time KOs max HP, max defense Snorlax. That's pretty much the purpose of this set. Also, Electro Web, in combination with the 240 defense, it lets you tank any move from Gyarados after Life Orb recoil, and then 2-hit KO it with either double Electro Web if they don't Mega, or Electro Web Lunge, or Electro Web low kick if they do Mega. So it's a pretty interesting Pokemon. It also counters Zygarde with Ice Beam, so it's pretty neat. It got me up there. Entei, I think, is pretty cool as well. This is a set guaranteed to beat Mimikyu, Charizard, and Lopunny. rockium-z, of course, is here to crush Charizard into oblivion. Maximum attack Adamant just makes that Z-Stone Edge hit like a truck. And then Flame Charge with 140 speed will put you above Lopunny. It'll put you at 405 speed, so that you can outpace Sub-Flail Lopunny after turn 2 and Sacred Fire and win the match. Flame Charge plus Will-O-Wisp beats offensive Mimikyu, and Flame Charge plus Sacred Fire, of course, beats any other form of Mimikyu. So yeah, Entei is pretty solid Pokemon all around, and very essential on this team. Lastly, we've got Blissey, who functions as kind of a mixed wall. Normally Blissey is a special wall, but with maximum HP and maximum defense investment, alongside Z-Charm. This thing can tank physical hits like nobody's business. This one is perfectly capable of taking Charizard X Outrage, Z-Charming it, and then just soft-boiling off comfortably. Seismic Toss and Toxic both work for damage. Had to switch off to Calm Mind at one point to beat Tapu Lele, but other than that, this is pretty much the go-to set. And yeah, so this team will be linked in the description if you want to use it or take inspiration from it. And yeah, that's what I used to qualify. And I also used this in round 1 versus Ayedan. Okay, no, so round 1 versus Ayedan, frankly, I didn't really get a whole bunch of time to prepare. I ended up just bringing the same team that I used to ladder up during the qualifier round. This battle actually happened the day after qualifiers ended. So round 1, he pulled this godly Scraggy out of nowhere with Intimidate and Iron Defense, and I did not expect that at all. But it actually manages to wall my Entei pretty well here, and is actually going to take the match, since I don't land a crit with any Stone Edges or Sacred Fires or Continental Crushes. So yeah, Ayedan takes me out game 1, and game 2, is pretty similar. He's got a team that looks very Charizard weak, so I pull Charizard. But it turns out he's got this very, very interesting Alolan Persian tech with Fake Out rockium-z. I've never seen this before. Pretty crazy. Definitely took me by surprise, caught me off guard, and Ayedan ended up winning this series. We didn't get a replay of the third match by accident, but that's pretty much what happened. And I ended up losing round 1. Okay, so round 1 results. I lost to Ayedan, so Ayedan stays in winners. I'm dropped to losers as the very lowest seed. Notably, Scrafty beats Dom. This means that Dom is sent to losers as well, and since he's the highest seed in losers, that means he's going to be matched up with me for round 2. BaleBlaze versus Freddy Kyogre. This was an awesome matchup, and I do want to commentate it. I will after I go over the rest of them. Chicken Pie 2 came out on top of Chaitana. Very impressive work on CP2's part. GGOPW took out Landon 21 in 4 games. That was pretty impressive by GGOPW. Rai got taken out round 1 by Toad. Lancer 3-0'd Grain 2 Cell. And Furno 3-0'd Ecstatic Cold after a scheduling conflict and some pointless drama. So back to the match that I actually care about. BaleBlaze versus Freddy Kyogre. This was game 1. Freddy Kyogre versus BaleBlaze. So looking at this matchup, I really, really like the Medicham pick, because Medicham is good against Gyarados, it's good against Charizard, or at least at 50-50s Charizard, and it demolishes Porygon-Z, provided that it isn't Scarf. And BaleBlaze doesn't yet know what Freddy Kyogre's Porygon is, so when we actually play the match, he does pick Medicham, and it turns out to be, I believe, a Scarf Porygon-Z, meaning that Freddy K actually does end up taking game 1. And then game 2, I think, was just a little bit of an unfortunate matchup for Freddy Kyogre, since BaleBlaze did decide to bring a Genesect. Genesect with Flamethrower, it tanks a hit from Durant and it KOs back. It Flash Cannons Diancie, and it's got options in Bug Buzz and Flamethrower, I suppose. Since is Thick Fat stop Flamethrower from doing more damage than Bug Buzz in this matchup? I really don't know. Either way, Freddy Kyogre did not pick Venusaur. He went Diancie and ended up losing the pretty obvious Genesect pick, what I thought. So yeah, Flash Cannon's going to bring BaleBlaze up to 1-1, and we'll move on to the next game. So game 3, they're currently tied. BaleBlaze brought the same team, Freddy Kyogre, switching it up, and we see a Charizard pick into a Mew. This is actually defensive Mew with Taunt, which normally does a pretty good job versus Charizard, since Charizard can't Dragon Dance. However, this turns out to be Flame Charge with another boost Charizard. It's Flame Charge Swords Dance. So he boosts his speed past Mew's, and once Taunt wears off, Charizard is able to boost his own stats without fear of Taunt. So Zard is able to Swords Dance, Mew roosts up, but Zard gets a second SD, giving him a KO the following turn. Or actually, a roost followed by a KO, I suppose. Actually, Swords Dances one more time, maxes out attack before outraging for the KO. BaleBlaze 2-1. Alright, and then game 4, BaleBlaze picking Charizard again. However, Freddy Kyogre has got one of the best counters, which is Intimidate Incineroar, who's just a ridiculously strong Pokemon. Ever since this thing got Intimidate released, it's been good not only in pretty much every metagame, including VGC, but 1v1 as well. It's able to use Bulk Up and Malicious Moonsault to great effectiveness, and is able to beat BaleBlaze's Charizard in game 4. And then the very last game between BaleBlaze and Freddy Kyogre, this is the tiebreaker, 2-2. BaleBlaze, he's got Nihilego, Victini, and Swampert. Freddy K has got a Charizard, a Diancie, and a Smeargle. Kyogre, I believe he expects a Swampert, since Swampert does a good job versus both Charizard X, which I assume this is, and Diancie. So he actually pulls Smeargle. However, BaleBlaze, I guess, predicts this and goes Nihilego. And despite being a cool Endure tech on Freddy K's end, it does happen to be a substitute Nihilego set. Substitute is just one of those all-purpose moves that is just invaluable in the right situation, and this is one of those situations where it just really comes in handy, since Endure would have meant that Smeargle's Salak Berry probably would have popped, I assume it was, and he would have had the speed advantage for a Spore the following turn. So yeah, Substitute coming in handy, gonna win BaleBlaze this match. And that brings us to round 2. So the winners' matchups were Ayedan and Scrafty, BaleBlaze and CP2, GGOPW Inferno, and Toad versus Lancer FR. So Scrafty Knight won again because Scrafty Knight is basically unbeatable for some reason. Chicken Pie beat BaleBlaze, and GGOPW beat Inferno. Lancer FR 3-0'd Toad somehow because Lancer FR 3-0's everybody. Losers, I gotta fight Dom. I'll go over that matchup next. Chaitanya and Freddy Kyogre played. I believe Chaitanya won. And then Uberland in 21 took out Ecstatic Cold in 5 games. And Grain to Sell beat RYY, knocking him out of the tournament. So, yeah, I guess let's go over the Dom games. That'll be good. So versus Dom, game 1, I brought a slightly modified version of the Crumbler. I have a team analysis video of this team. It's very, very solid, and I knew that it could beat pretty much anything that he would want to bring. The thing that this team looks like it loses to is Jumpluff, but I was actually running Lum Conkeldurr in order to beat that with Ice Punch. So round 1, he ends up bringing this Toxapex, which pretty effectively walls my Conkeldurr, since it does turn out to be pretty much, I think, max defense, if not close to max defense, and Iron Defense Recover as well. I do get a Paralysis here in a couple turns, but I don't ever end up critting him. So I'll skip a turn or two here. He scalds me, my Lumberry procs, and he eventually scalds me to death. Yeah. So Dom takes round 1 with his Toxapex. Very unique set. You don't see a whole lot of Toxapex in 1v1. Since its ability is pretty much useless. Regenerator doesn't do anything, of course, and Merciless is pretty hard to proc. But yeah, well played on game 1. Let's jump to game 2. So game 2 is the one that Dom got a little bit tilted about afterwards because he said he misclicked, he picked the wrong thing. Initially, he had planned to go Volcarona, since he said he brought Substitute, and that would have done a pretty good job versus all 3 of my Pokemon. However, he did click on Aromatisse, Aromatisse, I think it's to say, and that did not beat my Aggron. So I was 252 Adamant Aggron with Heavy Slam, and that's going to break through his Ipapa Berry Charm Aromatisse, even though it has a pretty huge defense stat and attack dropping moves. So yeah, Sub Volcarona would have done really well as well. That probably would have beat me this round. But that's the way it goes sometimes. Round 3. Alright, so in the third matchup versus Dom, I brought a little bit of a modified version of my OG team with Porygon and Mawile. This time I decided Chansey would be a good third Pokemon since it beats the things like Heatran and Metagross that this core is generally weak to. So he doesn't really have, or he doesn't have a really good matchup versus Chansey at all. He could try and break through it with a Calm Mind Lele, but I actually have Calm Mind on Chansey myself, so that's not going to work out for him. He does end up picking Heatran since it does the best job beating both Porygon and Mawile. But I do go Chansey, and despite him being Taunt, which usually does pretty well against Stallmons, I am going to be Seismic Toss, and I'm just going to take him out in a few turns here. He's going to drop a little bit of damage on me with Ancient Power, hoping for a boost followed by an Overheat, but it's not going to be enough to break the special wall that is Chansey, and I'm going to take game 3. And then in game 4 versus Dom, I decided to bring a Vivian team with pretty standard meta Charizard, Gyarados, boring. But he brought some interesting picks with Camerupt and Bisharp. Very, very interesting. However, all of these three Pokemon share a common weakness, which is that none of them have a base stat high enough to consistently beat Vivian, with the exception of Tapu Lele, which can run Timid and outspeed or Scarf and outspeed. However, the bulky rockium-z set is far more popular, so that's what I anticipated. He pulls out Tapu Lele, I go Vivian, my speed trap, and I successfully get him with Sleep Powder. I set up a substitute so that when he wakes up, he'll just hit that. I go ahead and boost up my stats. He does wake up here. He drops a Psyshock, which bypasses my special defense boost, so that's pretty decent. I land my 98% accurate Sleep Powder. This isn't hacks-based. I've got Compound Eyes. It's not luck-centered at all. It's a very, very set strategy. If you're faster, you almost always win. If you're slower, you almost always lose. And I do end up taking him out with a Z move the following turn. So that's going to be the match versus Dom. I do end up taking him out of the tournament, and we'll see how round 3 goes. How round 3 goes next time. And that brings us to present day. So we're currently in round 3, losers bracket. I'll be fighting Ayedan sometime later this week, and then I'm going to hopefully put up a video of that match, either that weekend or sometime early the next week. Because, heck, I want to put out more content, and if you guys actually like this tournament-based content, then I'm more than happy to get a couple of videos out now and then. So yeah, looking forward to round 3. I'll let you guys know how it goes, and yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are enjoyed. Glad you're caught up now, and hope to see you again next time. Bye!